the setup. We mentioned earlier how warm it is here in Newton, Iowa. The high today is 84 degrees, which is normal for the month of July. This September heat wave is extremely rare, and if you think 84 degrees is warm, tomorrow is supposed to reach 99. We'll see how the weather today affects the track temperature and track conditions. Well, it's 200 miles today, or 175 laps of short track action at this 7/8 mile oval. Ross Chastain is your pole sitter for the race. Ryan Blaney won this race in September just a year ago in just his third series start. The truckers are thrilled to be the only Sunday show in town, and we're getting close to the green flag. The Camping World Truck Series race from Newton, Iowa starts now, and it's live on Fox Sports 1.
Road course road rage erupted in the finale at the inaugural event in Canada for the Camping World Truck Series. Will tempers continue to overflow in the American heartland? A short track that races like a super speedway. Iowa is a track with dual personalities. With the intense battles that will ensue on this multi-grooved racing surface, some of the truckers may develop alter egos of their own. Will Iowa Speedway see another first-time winner, or will the more experienced rise up once again? Who will hold on to resentment and set out for redemption? Stay tuned for the Camping World Truck Series drama from Iowa.
And welcome everyone to Iowa Speedway and Newton, Iowa, as we prepare for the Fan Appreciation 200 presented by New Holland. Chase Elliott, the most recent winner in the Camping World Truck Series, but a lot of question marks behind if he did it the right way to get to victory lane in Canada. The guy who he moved out of the way to get to victory lane is Ty Dillon, and things are going to heat up right away as Ty will start just in front of Chase when the green flag flies. One young man, Eric Jones, looking to do better than he did here in July. He finished second and starts second today. The guy who won the pole, the first pole of his career, is the Watermelon Man. That's Ross Chastain, who was able to get the pole and will bring the field to the green flag today. Now let's go trackside for our pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and remove your hats as the Iowa National Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Iowa Speedway Ministries Chaplain Jeff Arp offers today's invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the provision of these beautiful facilities. We ask your blessing upon all who have come to the Iowa Speedway this afternoon to enjoy this fantastic race. We ask your hand of protection and provision upon each and every driver and upon their pit crew. We thank you for each and every fire safety crew member and support staff who is also here. Lord, we thank you for the emergency responders who risk their lives every day for our safety, and we ask your hand of protection upon them, as well as the men and women serving in our armed forces. We ask that you would bring those home safely that are serving in harm's way. We ask that you would provide for their safety and for the provision of their families. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, the 34th Army Band.
Drivers now heading to their trucks, preparing for 200 laps from Iowa. It's a warm day, and tempers are obviously going to rise on a short track. Welcome back to Newton, Iowa, as we prepare for the Fan Appreciation 200 presented by New Holland. A warm afternoon in early September in Iowa. Surprisingly warm. Temperatures in the mid-80s. Yesterday they were in the mid-90s. A slight breeze. This time it's a different direction. It's heading from turn 4 into turn number 1. Main stories we're talking about today. Short track, high speeds. This is a 7/8 mile racetrack with progressive banking, and they will get up some incredibly high speeds around this short track. And that will then mean that it will become a rough and tumble racetrack. We will see bumping and banging like we normally see when we go to short tracks. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip with you once again. High-speed short track, Phil.
Yeah, we have upwards of 150 miles an hour as they fall off in these corners here. It's just a short track. These guys will be rubbing and banging, and they can go all over this racetrack. That's why the progressive banking was built here. 12 degrees at the bottom, 14 degrees at the top, and then you've got to throw in restarts. You never know what's going to happen on the restart. Watch this one. Timothy Peters is going to pull down to block Johnny Sauter, and that allows Ryan Blaney just to drive around the outside because there's grip up there. Here's another restart here. The guy in third a lot of times has his advantage on these restarts. That's Eric Jones trying to make the move to get by and make it 3 wide there. So you're not exempt. If you have the lead on a late restart, you better watch out your mirror.
Well, every time you see 3 wide and even 4 wide at times and all the different grooves, things can get serious. That means these guys are really battling hard down in the corner. Watch this. They're 3 wide for the second spot last night in the ARCA race. This is great racing. And what happens is if you find your groove, you want to take advantage of it. Look at the 11 car. He went way up high, too high. And the eventual winner, Grant Enfinger, slipped around the bottom. So there's going to be mixing it up, and there'll be a lot of action.
Bumping and banging as we saw in July at this very racetrack, short track style.
Yeah, you can't help it, Rick. You get in there, you want your 3 wide, you say, I can make it 4, and you push the issue, and you get sideways.
So we've set it up. Everyone is excited for the start of this race. So how do we do it? Let's start the engines. Let's go trackside for the command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome again Iowa Speedway season ticket holder from Cedar Rapids, Pat Loy.
Drivers, start your engine!
Six trucks have come to life, and in typical short track fashion, we're going to see bumping and banging. Will they be able to catch up to Ross Chastain, who'll bring the field to the green flag this afternoon? We're about to find out. Stay with us here on Fox Sports 1. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. The trucks beginning to roll around this 7/8 mile racetrack, a state-of-the-art facility here. Rusty Wallace had a hand in the design of this facility. Take a look at our Camping World track description for the numbers.
See, the important part is the corners are banked 12 to 14 degrees. That progressive banking, and that's what allows these drivers to go 2, 3, and even 4 wide.
And this is just the perfect size short track for these big trucks. They can get out there and go 3 and 4 wide, and there's room for them to operate.
Pit window between 85 and 90 laps. We would expect at least 2 pit stops.
Yeah, these guys have 2 sets of tires. There's a little bit of a question whether they thought they had enough tires in the pits. 2 sets of tires in the pits.
Before the green flag flies, let's go back trackside. Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, I look back on the record book last year. What an incredible season we had in the Camping World trucks. 16 different winners. In our final 10 races, we saw a different person in victory lane every day. But this year, we could have something equal that. We've had 11 different winners so far this year, including 8 in a row. So who could it be today? Well, you don't have to look very far. You go right at the front row, young Eric Jones and Ross Chastain, 2 of the 20 or more drivers in this field who have never won in Camping World trucks. We may just keep this thing rolling all the way to Homestead. Hermie?
Well, Ray, Matt Crafton has had the perfect recipe for success and a championship. Top 10 finishes in every race this season. If the competitors thought they were going to make up a little bit of ground on the road course in Canada last week, not so much luck. Another top 10. Coming to Iowa, look at the results for Matt Crafton at this racetrack. 6th, 3rd, win, third, ninth, sixth. These competitors may have let Matt Crafton get back on this familiar turf, and if so, he's going to make it very difficult to catch the 88 for this championship. Rick?
Already a 47-point lead for Matt Crafton as he comes in to this race. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers. Take it through us, guys.
Yeah, the first one of those is going to be our most recent winner here, the youngest winner in the history of the 3 major touring series of NASCAR, Chase Elliott, and he will start his Aaron's Dream Machine from the 7th spot.
How about let's hop on board with the most recent winner here in Iowa. Just 2 months ago, Timothy Peters drove to victory lane. The 33-year-old North Carolina native will start his Hearts Plus Toyota from the 6th spot.
Ty Dillon, that 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevy, has one thing in mind here. That's get to victory lane in Iowa, and he will start from the 5th spot.
Let's hop on board with James Busher. He's on the inside of the 2nd row. Phil, you talked in the opening about how this truck could dive to the bottom and try to lead that first lap. So we'll have a great view of that from James's truck. He rolls off 3rd.
So many of these drivers watched the race here last night by the ARCA Racing Series, saw that there's a high groove. We could see that early in this race.
And there was high fives all around when that happened. When you get a chance to see a groove that you didn't know was there, you learn from it, you attack it, and I can't wait to see who the first guy up there is. And I bet you it might be Brendan Gaughan.
Might be that black 62 South Point truck.
He's near the front, but if he can get a chance to sniff the high side, he'll head that way.
And he's already up there. That could come into play with lane selection for the leader of the race when it comes to restarts as well.
The restarts are havoc, and I think this is going to be the fun thing about watching the initial start. See if we already start to see them flare out 2, 3, 4 wide as they head down toward turn 1.
I'm a little bit surprised that Ross Chastain took the bottom of the racetrack. I thought he might take the high side.
We're going to find out very quickly which line is fastest here at Iowa Speedway. Everyone on their feet. Green flag in the air. We're underway.
Well, Ross was ready, Phil. They threw the green flag, and he jumped to the lead by a truck length over Busher.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack goes race leader Ross Chastain. Behind him, James Busher in the 31. The high line is working for Eric Jones in the 51.
Yeah, James Busher now he has Ty Dillon, the 3 truck in tow, running right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Just remember, anytime you have cooler tires, they've got the air pressures down. These trucks aren't sticking as good as they will after the tires heat up a little bit, and this is when the things are most active. You got 2 wide, 3 wide racing in the corners with the tires that aren't up to pressure. It's hard to hang on to those trucks in these situations.
Ty Dillon takes a spot away from Eric Jones, moves up into the 3rd position.
See Timothy Peters, the 17, Brendan Gaughan, the 62, running side by side. Brendan is already venturing up the racetrack. It didn't work that time. It may take a few laps in these tires before the outside groove really comes in.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack. Go the almost top 10, all running, trying to go to the bottom early. Not taking advantage of the high line. Ron Hornaday goes down to the bottom, gets by Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 54.
He wasn't shy about diving down into that 3rd turn, was he? Took a hard, aggressive line inside of Bubba Wallace and made it work.
3 wide. Matt Crafton to the inside. He takes the positions away.
Those guys got seized up. Jeb Burton and Brendan Gaughan running side by side. That gave Matt the opening, and he took it.
Watch those trucks wiggle around, Rick. These guys just hanging on to trucks as they want to bobble and float through the corners. That's a handful.
How about Chase Elliott riding along with him as he saw an opening in between the 4 and the 62, but it wasn't a very big one.
That opened up at the bottom of the racetrack for the 29 and Ryan Blaney. He drives right up beside Chase Elliott.
A lot of action side by side. People trying to figure out the low line, the high line. Trucks bobbing and weaving now early in the going.
4 laps complete. Going to complete 5 here with Ross Chastain crossing the stripe. Already he has an 0.8 of a second, actually up to a second lead over James Busher. Does he have to maintain and take it easy on his tires early?
Well, I was a little bit concerned about something he said in his pre-race interview. He talked about his truck was tight, a little bit tight during qualifying. We heard him say that. He said, I hope that plays into our hands. We would like to have some sunshine on the track, some hotter temperatures so that the track frees up a little bit. But so far, so good for that kid.
Ray Dunlap, how's the leader doing?
Exactly what you were asking, Rick. They have come on the radio and told him start to back it down just about 5% here. There's no reason to have that kind of a lead, and we don't want to push too hard on that right front tire too early here. So they're asking the leader to come back to James Busher just a little bit, maybe just back it down a tiny bit.
And remember last year, James Busher took off in the lead, had a big lead. He ended up cutting down a right front tire, almost cost him a championship.
The fuel window is 85 to 90 laps. Well, the tires hold out that long. We would think they would, but you don't want to abuse them. Ross Chastain out in front after winning the pole. He is dominating early at Iowa. A green flag field for the Fan Appreciation 200 presented by New Holland from Iowa Speedway. 13 laps in the books, and it's Ross Chastain who has almost a 2-second lead over James Busher now. A very good truck for Chastain.
Okay, Ross, right now, if they said back down, sometimes when you slow down, you end up going faster. So he may have eased off the throttle a little bit earlier, but he's able to pick up the throttle a little bit earlier then. So he certainly hasn't slowed down much.
Clicking off impressive lap times now, turning just over 24 seconds, 24.4 for Chastain. Busher was fastest the last time by 24.497.
You win your first pole, you're out leading the race in Iowa, and they tell you to slow down. That's not going to add up too well for a race car driver.
Chase Elliott has fallen back to the 12th spot after starting in the 7th position. Hermie, what's happening with the team?
Yeah, Rick, they got fooled by the racetrack a little bit. As you said, it started 7th. Now outside the top 10, the truck is too tight. The front end of this truck will not rotate through the center of the corner. Not only is that slowing it down in the center of the corner, but also making it snap loose on exit. So these guys are looking forward to getting to pit road and try to free this truck up through the middle, pick up a little bit of speed for the 94.
You know, the big advantage to these teams was the fact that we practiced yesterday in about race type conditions. Typically we practice here during the day, then race at night, so the guys have a bit of a guessing game as to what the track is going to do after it cools off. Similar conditions as yesterday, a little bit cooler yesterday or today than it was yesterday. It was near record high temperatures yesterday here.
And Ty Dillon has begun to run a different line. He's moved up the hill even higher yet, so he's closed some ground on the 31 truck of James Busher. And what I love about this track and the way it's designed and laid out is you can really make your truck handle differently by where you run on the racetrack. So say you got a truck that's pushing and you're down low, well, go up high, try to feel that different banking, a longer way around the track, some fresher pavement possibly. All these are options that the drivers have to work their way through, and they lean a lot on their veteran spotters up top because the spotters can see the whole track. They see a guy move up high, start to make some ground, they report to their driver, give it a whirl, and sometimes you hit magic like we saw last night in the ARCA race when they found a groove that we didn't even know existed.
And a lot of times when you run in the heat of the day like we are today, that there's so much rubber being put down that eventually the sun will make that rubber a little bit slippery. So that's another reason to move around, find some place where maybe there's not as much rubber, just like Kyle Weatherman did last night at ARCA race. He moved up high where hardly anybody had gone, and he found a lot of grip up there.
Miguel Paludo in the 32. Again, that's a backup truck. Yesterday in practice, throttle hung, hit the wall in turns 1 and 2, had to go to the backup. Right on his back bumper, Ben Kennedy making just his 2nd Truck Series start, running pretty impressively.
And he was impressive in his first start. He raced hard, kept his nose clean, got a lot of laps in at a really tough track in Bristol, Tennessee. And he's proven here that he's fast and he's able to run with these boys too. So Ben's getting off to a great start in NASCAR and doing an amazing job of learning, getting laps in, and figuring out how to race with veterans like Miguel Paludo. In fact, he's going to drive to the inside of Miguel.
And how about the 98 right behind him, Johnny Sauter? He went to the back for the very start of the race for adjustments. And what's going on with that 98 team now, Hermie?
Well, Phil, those adjustments on the 98 were they broke a sway bar arm during qualifying, so they had to actually repair the 98 truck, replace the sway bar arm. NASCAR deemed that unapproved adjustment. He had to go to the back of the field after qualifying 25th, slowly trying to make his way to the front. He's got a couple guys in front of him dicing up a little bit as well.
Johnny Sauter's had great success here at Iowa. His best finish came back in 2010 where he finished in the 2nd spot.
That was one of those situations where the spotter said clear, and Ben moved over and hit the other truck, and it wiggled him and almost clear. I mean,
that when that 7/8's clear.
And he made it. He made the pass, did a great job of hanging on to it, and takes that position away from Paludo. And Johnny Sauter has made some nice moves in the early going. Starting in the back like we talked about, he looks like he might have some speed. He gets some track position, he can be a contender.
Sauter's worked his way up to the 19th position, and the 19 of Ross Chastain still out front. One of the best rings is at a short track for NASCAR, and that's exactly where the Camping World Truck Series are settling it today. Fan Appreciation 200 underway, 31 laps complete. Ross Chastain has been out front since the drop of the green flag. He has a 2.2-second lead over James Busher. The guy who started on the outside was Eric Jones. He's fallen back to the 5th spot.
You talked about the Fan Appreciation 200, Rick. This place has some great fans. We're wandering around in the mezzanine earlier today talking about the energy of today's race. This is a fun event. It's always great to come to Iowa and see the fans, and this track gives the truckers a great way to just put on a show for these folks. Putting on a show is that cat right there. Man, Ross is strong. Ty just hasn't been able to make the move on James Busher. We saw him running high. He's continued to run that line, but he just can't close the gap, and neither one of them can close much ground on Chastain leading.
They may gain a little bit when Ross gets in some traffic, but otherwise Ross has the fastest truck on the racetrack.
Upwards of 150 miles an hour as we're riding along with Ty Dillon. How are they doing, Ray?
Well, yesterday, Rick, that Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet was really, really tight all the way around the racetrack. And they were kind of perplexed by that. They thought this track would be a lot looser. But today, Ty is telling his crew chief, Marcus Richmond, that he's loose in, a little bit tight in the center, and then loose off. So they've told him to dial in a little bit of front brake to that thing, and they'll work on it with air pressure and maybe make a track bar adjustment for him. But we haven't heard loose in at all for the 3 this weekend.
Wow, this is surprising, isn't it, guys? Ross Chastain putting a lap on Chase Elliott just 34 laps into this race. Chase is in real trouble right now. He's not even able to hang on to that lucky dog position as he loses another spot there to Justin Lofton. Lofton goes by, and there's more people coming.
He's dropped all the way down to the 24th position right now.
That truck's awful high in the front. I believe it's got a shock.
Something's wrong. It doesn't have the attitude that we normally see on these vehicles. You can compare it to the other vehicles. It's at least 3 inches higher off the ground in the front at the splitter.
It's like a shock has fallen off the front of that thing or broken. See how low Peter's truck is? Oh, there he goes.
And around goes the 94.
Right rear tire.
Possibly a broken part on that 94 as you were talking about how it was riding differently, and now we have the right rear tire go down just as we were watching it.
Yeah, and that right rear tire being down a little bit wasn't enough to make the front end like that. I think something caused that front end to be like that, and ultimately that may have created what happened with that right rear tire.
There could have been a rub back there because the front end was so high. That means the back was low. That was a strange scenario.
Going on there. 10-4. You're still rolling?
Chase is going to
she's killed.
Climb out of that truck.
Be the first time that he's finished worse than 6th this year, and that was a brand new truck. Was talking to the guys down in the garage area yesterday, and brand spanking new truck.
6 starts this season, including that win a week ago. We've talked about highs and lows in this sport. You go from winning the ultimate high to this.
I'd be interested to see what may have. Obviously, the rear tire caused that spin in contact with the outside wall, but something caused that front end to be where it was.
Yeah, and something caused him to be running 24th. I
exactly.
mean, you said he's never finished worse than 6th in a truck race. From the get-go, that truck was off, and it appears the only thing that I can think that make the front end that high is if there was a shock problem, because
24 will be looking. Hang on to her.
You could hear him gas it up.
What was wrong, guys?
Let's show this as he comes onto the front stretch.
See right there. And then look at Timothy Peters' truck. Right down on the racetrack, which is the attitude that we see from most of these trucks. They're at least 3 or 4 inches higher.
Yeah, look, that's a great view of it there, guys. That shows that something isn't right with the front of that truck. And I know you're saying, well, the right rear tire was low. It wasn't that low. That wouldn't have caused that. And we noticed it earlier that it looked like it had a strange attitude. And if we're on a short track like Martinsville, you might see the front of the truck up like that because we're looking for a complete mechanical grip. This is a short track, but we're running 150 miles an hour down the straightaway. You got to have that front end sealed to the road to take advantage of the aerodynamics. Something was wrong.
Yeah, something could have certainly been related to cause that tire to go down.
So they're hooking up to the 94 of Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott will have to go to the infield care center to get checked out. We go to Los Angeles for a Fox Sports 1 update. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway under our first caution, and pit road is now open, and they're coming to you, Hermie.
29 of Ryan Blaney will hit his pit box. It'll be 4 tires, air pressure adjustment. The truck has been tight, so they're going to take a little bit of air pressure out of both front tires. Also take a little bit of air out of the left rear to free this truck up. Ray.
Looking at my end of pit road, Hermie, we've got a number of guys who are tight. Our leader, of course, Ross Chastain, will be tight. You see James Busher there. He's loose in. They're going to make a track bar adjustment for him. Pit stall number 1 for the number 19. One thing I did notice is the 3 truck stayed on the racetrack, did not come down pit road. They'll put fuel in here. Busher will be the first off of pit road. He rolls by. It'll be a 4-tire stop for Ross Chastain. They're going to try to free him up a bit.
The reason why Busher was first off, Ray, he didn't get any tires, so there's differing strategies. And Phil, if I'm a crew chief with 2 sets of tires in my pit, that caution came out at exactly the wrong time.
Perfectly the wrong time.
Haven't run really far enough to justify putting 4 on the truck and only having 4 for the next 160 laps. That's a tough decision to make right there.
And the big decision came from Ty Dillon. Decided to stay out on the racetrack. Welcome back to Iowa. Green flag back in the air. How will Ty Dillon fare against everyone else who came to pit road? He's the only truck that stayed out. And now he's running that bottom line, trying to hang on to the lead.
Remember, he was stalking Busher before the caution came out, not able to get by him. James has the outside groove here. Ty drives it hard down in the corner.
This will be interesting. We heard Ty's crew chief tell Ty he could make the lap 85 before they needed gas. Busher came to pit road. No tires for the 31 truck either, but he put gas in that truck. That could change the handling. Ty liked his truck. James might not have. They put some weight in the back of that truck. It'll change the way it drives.
Riding along with Timothy Peters. Peters running in the 5th spot now. Just behind Ross Chastain.
We know Ross Chastain put 4 tires on. We're going to see how that truck reacts in traffic now. He moves to the inside of Jeb Burton to try to take over the 3rd spot.
Year in and year out, both of you drivers have told me anytime you're halfway through a fuel run, if a caution comes out, you come to pit road. We were halfway through a fuel run for Ty Dillon. They decided they're not coming to pit road.
Yeah, that's a risky call, I think. Phil, a bit. Everybody on the whole track has gas, and they don't. If they don't get a caution in the next 30, 40 laps, it'll be real trouble for them. And the crazy part about it is the caution comes out right now, then that's not good either, because he's only run a few laps. He's going to lose all of his track position. Right. Most people won't pit after that.
I think people look at it a little bit differently now with the free pass and the wave arounds. I'm sure Marcus Richmond said, okay, we'll just pit under green, and then when a caution comes out, everybody else pits, then we'll take the wave around. So I think people look at it a little bit differently, but I hate being out there the only guy that can go another 40 laps where everyone else can go another 85 laps.
And look at this battle here. We saw how dominant Chastain was earlier, but now, Ray, he's struggling to even get by Jeb Burton, who's up in that 3rd spot.
Yeah, Michael, they went with 4 tires, as you documented on the 19, but how about the 4? Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief, called for a 2-tire change. They went with rights only, and that got Jeb really good track position. He came in running 8th, went out running 3rd.
He's running 4th now, bud.
Running 4th right behind Ross Chastain. Those fresher tires have been able to get him up into the 3rd spot after leading every lap since the drop of the green flag until that caution came out. And when the caution came out, it was for the driver of the 94. Chase Elliott gets into the wall after the right rear tire goes out. He's now out of the infield care center. Let's go hear from him. He's with Hermie.
Well, thank you, Rick. Chase, out of the infield care center. Glad you're okay. What was going on with the truck? You started out a little bit tight, and all of a sudden it seemed like the handling completely went away.
Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know if we had a right rear going down or something. A shock broke. I'm not sure. It didn't seem like the left front was traveled down like it should have been right from the get-go. So I have to talk to Lance and the guys, see what happens. But I thought about 4 laps before we wrecked, I thought we had a right rear going down. I told them we should probably pit, and we decided not to, and unfortunately ended like that.
That's Chase Elliott out of the infield care center. Short day for the 94.
Yeah, such a great week, getting his first win a week ago.
See how the front's way up and he spins around right there. That's definitely not normal.
Yeah, and he said something didn't feel right, whether a shock had gone bad or whatever, like the left front wasn't traveling. And obviously that left front wasn't traveling within 3 or 4 inches of where it should have been. See Ben Kennedy making a nice move around the outside of Miguel Paludo. That's 96 on the outside, the 32 of Paludo on the inside. Ben's done a nice job here early on, running just outside the top 15.
Well, to see Steve Wallace, he's just ahead of Ben there. He's making a nice run too. So young kids in this series, it's really healthy to see the age of these guys that are racing. Ty Dillon up front. Heck, Eric Jones is 16 years old and contended for a win here just 2 months ago.
The future stars of the sport cutting their teeth right here in the Camping World Truck Series.
Dakota Armstrong, I mean,
it's amazing how much young talent is is around NASCAR right now, whether it be the feeder series, the K&N series, or right here in the truck series, nationwide series.
James Busher trying to hold on to the second spot as Ross Chastain looks to the inside. And Chastain will take that spot away easily. Now he'll set his sights on Ty Dillon.
You know, it almost looked like it took a few laps for Ross's tires to build up the right air pressure, because once they did, he was able to get by Jeb Burton, and then didn't take long at all to get by James Busher for second.
This could be a big day for that young man. His truck is really fast. A lot of times, even if you have 4 tires still, you put a truck like that was leading the race with no traffic ahead of it, you put it back in the pack, they struggle. He hasn't struggled. He was patient. He's made a couple of passes. Watch him run down Ty Dillon now. This truck is on a rail.
Ty Dillon had a 1.8 second lead over second place Busher before Chastain was able to get by, and now Chastain has already cut that gap to 1.4 seconds, and I'm sure we'll keep knocking that down.
Yeah, Ty Dillon has that clean air right now. His truck is performing very well. That time Ross Chastain about 1/10 of a second faster. And here comes Timothy Peters trying to work to the inside of Jeff Burton in the battle.
And I'd say that's another truck that Ross Chastain will have to deal with before this race is over. Peters is just so good here in Iowa. And on any short track, you remember on our last short track up at Bristol, Tennessee, on the last lap, he was trying to win the race, trying to pass Kyle Busch, and got into the wall. But when you go to a short track, Timothy Peters is going to be tough to beat.
Timothy Peters twice has been to victory lane here at Iowa. The only multiple winner in the field.
Take your time. Long way to go.
Has won from the pole, and that's exactly what Ross Chastain was setting his sights on today after winning the pole.
Yeah, Ross continues to have the faster truck on the racetrack. This time, he ran a 24.311. Ty Dillon, our leader, ran a 24.502, so almost 2/10 of a second. There's Brandon Jones in the 33, and one of his teammates, Miguel Paludo, in the 32, continuing to battle.
Did I say something about young drivers? How old is this one?
16.
Yeah, 16.
Miguel Paludo, 16?
No, he's older.
Brandon Jones making his second start. His first start was at Bristol, along with Ben Kennedy.
I like what Butch Hilton told Timothy Peters, the crew chief on the 17 truck, when we listened to that in-truck radio. He said, take it easy, a long way to go. They're conscious of these tires and how they'll hold up, and they don't want to put too much pressure on that right front tire early in the run. And so it's always good to have your crew chief coaching your driver along.
We've got Brendan Gaughan looking to the inside of Jeff Burton. We talked earlier about the possibility of the high line becoming a big line for Brendan Gaughan, who likes to run higher around a racetrack, but he's still content with running down on that yellow line. Hermie.
Yeah, Rick, Brendan Gaughan drives this number 62. This last caution was a big break for Brendan Gaughan and his team. He came down, got 4 tires, and they realized after they had taken the tires off that the left front tire was going flat. So they were developing a tight condition, but they were able to get that tire off, get 4 new tires on full of gas. Brendan Gaughan currently rides in the 6th position. Ray.
There is a possibility that something is wrong with our leader. We're not quite sure, but Ty Dillon came on the radio and said water temperature gauge. I couldn't make out whether he said it's pegged to 0 or to all the way over, but he said if water temperature gauge is not right, they said keep an eye on your oil pressure and oil temperature and let us know if that changes. But something wrong with a gauge on the panel for the driver in the lead.
And that's good advice, too, because the oil temperature usually will run concurrently with the water temperature, probably 20 to 30 degrees more. So if there's a problem with the gauge, then he can really key off that oil temperature gauge. If it's 260 degrees, then he knows that his water's 220, 230.
So a question mark for Ty Dillon. Is the truck going away from him? He's had problems already in 2013, earlier in Iowa, as well as at the dirt track in Eldora and Pocono. Let's hope those problems don't continue here in Iowa. NASCAR coverage on Fox Sports 1 continues on Friday with a full day of events from Chicagoland Speedway beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Fox Sports 1. It is your home for complete NASCAR coverage. And right here at Iowa Speedway, Ty Dillon has the field covered. Ross Chastain has closed the gap now, almost 4/10 of a second separating the top 2.
been keeping an eye on that 62 truck right there. He's been working that high line. You see him. He just drove around the outside of Timothy Peters over in turn number 4. Now he's chasing after James Busher. He's working that high line. We talked about the high line. We know that Brendan's not afraid to go up there. He's going to be the first guy up there, and I think he's starting to make it work, Michael.
I do too, and I love seeing that. It's just been a steady progression. He's had to work his way to that groove, but we know how much Brendan likes running up there, like you said, Phil, and he's starting to tiptoe up higher and higher and making good progress. Look at the ground he gains right there on Busher in the center of the corner. He's going to make that pass for the 3rd spot.
Middle of the track for Brendan Gaughan through turns 1 and 2. Now in 3 and 4, a little bit higher line, but has the advantage over the 31. He'll take that position away. Gaughan moves up to 3rd.
And you see Timothy Peters is going to follow him up there. So, well, if there's some grip up there for him, maybe it'll work for me too. And let me see if I can get by this 31 of James Busher.
We talked about Peters being a real short tracker. As soon as he saw that opportunity that Brendan presented to him, he said, all right, I get it. And he's going to get around Busher as well.
So the high line coming into play now is Ryan Blaney in the 29, also coming up to the back bumper of the 31.
That's Norm in the 57 running the high line as well.
His purpose for being up there is to be out of the way. But as this race goes on, if Norm gets to seeing all the fast trucks up there, he might have to come up with a plan B.
Timothy Peters in front of James Busher. These trucks continue to run for position, all chasing after Ty Dillon and Ross Chastain.
This is a good battle. You can see Johnny Sauter, another truck that started in the back, and man, he's made his way through the field. He's passing Jeff Burton. He's done it the opposite of Brendan Gaughan. He's been buried right on that yellow line. That truck's really impressive on the low line.
And that moves Johnny into the top 10 after starting all the way at the back for the initial start.
51 of Eric Jones just behind that 98.
Oh.
And 3 wide as Jeff Burton to the outside of the 51. But Eric Jones, who started on the outside of row number 1, had some issues on pit road. Relegated him back in the field. Now he's trying to work his way up as well.
Look at Ryan Blaney. He makes the move down on the bottom of the racetrack. Great move for Ryan as he gets around James Busher.
Options. You mentioned it earlier.
Love it.
Options and action. That's exactly what we've seen. A lot of options here at Iowa.
And more options, the later it gets in the race, the more the action picks up, because you push your way into those different grooves and those different lanes.
You know, we see this gap right here from our leader, Ty Dillon, back to the 19 of Ross Chastain. It's pretty much stabilized. Ross chased him down, got to within about 5 or 6 truck lengths, and hasn't been really able to advance beyond that. But we know Ty is probably within about 10 laps from having to come to pit road, guys. Maybe even sooner.
Yeah, I think they 80 to 85, so that team as soon as 2 or 3 laps could come to pit road, and he's going to go a lap down if that happens. Then he has to be patient and see if the caution flies or if the other boys are going to have to come to pit road as well.
I say it's going to be borderline 2 laps when he comes in for 4 tires.
We're hearing Marcus Richmond let him know it's time to come in. It's time to come to pit road. So he's going to wave to the 19 of Ross Chastain, letting him know that he'll be making his way onto pit road. Ross Chastain will take the lead over as Ty Dillon makes his way onto pit road.
Has to be very careful not to speed here. A speeding penalty would just about be the death knell for him.
Ross Chastain now back out front. Ty Dillon on pit road, right?
80 laps complete, and he will give up the lead to come in here. These guys are going to make an air pressure adjustment on the right side. As I told you earlier, he did make a front brake change. He has dialed most of that back out. They'll hang on 4 fresh Goodyear Wranglers. Also fill it full of Sunoco fuel. Little bit of a slip as the front tire changer came around to the left. They'll clean off the front grill, put a wedge adjustment in the left side, and the Bass Pro Shop Chevy back to the racetrack.
How many laps? Will it be 1 or will he be down 2 when he comes off of pit road? It looks as though he's going to stay just 1 lap down.
Yeah, that's going to be the good news. 2 laps was going to be bad, but I think he's going to easily maintain just 1 lap down here.
So Ross Chastain back in the front position and has a 4.5 second lead over Brendan Gaughan. Chastain with those new tires after he came onto pit road at lap 41 took advantage of them, got all the way up to second behind Ty Dillon. Now Dillon, having to come to pit road, has relinquished the lead back to Ross Chastain. Chastain all smiles out in front of the field at Iowa Speedway.
anything can happen. It usually does.
Welcome back. The 19 of Ross Chastain still out in front of the fan appreciation 200. Presented by New Holland from Iowa Speedway. Gorgeous afternoon for racing here in early September. Ross Chastain has a 4-second lead over second place Brendan Gaughan. Buescher and Crafton fighting for the 5th spot. Buescher has it. Crafton on the high side trying to take it away.
Yeah, that high side groove is coming in a little bit. We saw Brendan Gaughan be the first guy to use that groove. He's parlayed that into right now the runner-up position.
That's your point leader driving around second place in points. So Matt Crafton has been extremely consistent. He won in Kansas and top 10 to death. And today he shows that he's got a truck fast enough to race up inside the top 5 and maybe even have a chance to win this baby late. He's won here before, and that team just seems to get stronger and stronger. They're taking that point lead and they're running with it, competing, contending hard, getting the finishes, and today could be a chance for him to step up and get a win.
They continue to feed off of the consistency of Matt Crafton being able to go out and run top 10s every week.
This has been an incredible battle right here. That's the 4 of Jeb Burton, the 9 of Ron Hornaday, and Brandon Jones, the 16-year-old in the 33. These guys have been side by side, sometimes 3 wide. John West Townley, the 7, Zaxby's Toyota. He's just about to join this battle, but these guys have been racing hard since the restart.
Yeah, Hornaday was down on the bottom, and Brandon Jones snuck under him just like he did right there. And once Hornaday moved to the middle, to the high side of the track, he was able to hold off Jones and even make a move up on Burton. You can see he's forced up top, and he's trying to make that work. So you're right, Phil, great battling and great example of all the different options and opportunities there are here at this track.
Jeb Burton, Brendan Jones, Ron Hornaday, 3 of them fighting for that 11th position. Now nose to tail once again. Burton out in front of Hornaday and Jones.
These guys are about 17 seconds behind our leader, Ross Chastain. Ross has opened up over a 4.5-second lead now on the second place truck of Brendan Gaughan.
Only one caution early in this race. Came out for the 94 of Chase Elliott, an ill-handling truck, and then a right rear tire going down. He got into the wall and is out of the race.
And this is how this race has been right here since the restart on about lap 48 or 9.
And that's about how close many times Jones has had Hornaday to being passed and just can't quite finish it. But now, not only does he get rid of Hornaday, he's going to have a chance to drive alongside his teammate, Jeb Burton.
And once again, we're approximately halfway through a fuel run, and these drivers, some that came down pit road and got tires, others that didn't, are running on tires that are almost 100 laps on this track.
Yeah, we speculated, Michael, whether these tires could run a full fuel run at 85 or 90 laps. Obviously, we've proven that they can. They've run 97 laps. Watch the 9 of Ron Hornaday at an exit of the corner get way up next to it.
Oh,
and as a matter of fact, he got next to it plus a quarter.
That truck's pushing. He couldn't hold it down off the corner. Look at this battle. Here comes.
Speaking of pushing, Ty Dillon all over the back bumper of Iran Quiroga in the 77.
Ty's in a real bind right now. Not only is he not on the lead lap, he's also not in the lucky dog position. So if the caution comes out, he won't be able to pass around. He's going around Johnny Sauter. There, obviously, he has a fast car. Sauter runs up inside the top 10 in the 8th spot. Those new tires, he's taking advantage of them. But Phil, we've got some real strategy issues with this team. How do we get all this track position back?
Yeah, I was really worried when they made the call to stay out on that caution flag, knowing that we were at least halfway through a fuel run. You know, kind of a rule of thumb we've always talked about is if you get halfway into a fuel run, you got to have some gas. I know they didn't want to change the balance of the truck, and the truck had been really, really fast on those old tires, but I think they were giving up too much, not coming to pit road, at least getting some fuel.
We have passed the halfway point as the flags are crossed for Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain has been the dominant truck at this track. Today, 62 laps led. Ty Dillon was out for the other 38. Chastain looking for his first win ever in the Camping World Truck Series. Could it come at Iowa? Tonight, join the Fox Sports Live crew as they bring you all the scores, news, and highlights you need. Catch Fox Sports Live tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fox Sports 1. Ross Chastain continuing to dominate Iowa. He's been out front 70 laps of the 108 that have been run, and he has a 4-second lead over Brendan Gaughan.
Guys, another issue with the 3 of Ty Dillon. He pitted on lap number 80. That means he has to pit one more time. The rest of these guys only have to pit one more time. They pitted on lap number 41. That leaves 160 laps to the end. You can go 85 to 90, so they can make it on one more stop. And right now, Ty is a lap and a half behind. So if we get no caution flags, he's not going to be able to overcome this deficit because he's not that much faster than Ross Chastain with about 40 laps less on his tires.
Brendan Gaughan now has Timothy Peters growing in his rearview mirror.
We knew he would be a player. Not only Gaughan on the high side, but Peters just for the lead. He's so strong on these short tracks. Winning here a couple of months ago, he just keeps creeping away at Brendan Gaughan, getting to the inside of him now. And those two trucks have been faster lap after lap than our leader Ross Chastain. So, Phil, it's looking like an old familiar face is going to wind up at the front of this race.
That's what I said, very top of the show. He was my pick here. A 2-time winner, as you mentioned, always so good. 6th, his worst place finish this year.
Jumping on the bandwagon the second he goes by Brendan Gaughan. Oh, wait a minute. You did pick him earlier.
Yeah. Before the green flag. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Timothy Peters looking very strong. Now he will try to reel in Ross Chastain. It's 4.2 seconds, the separation between 1 and 2.
Let's see how fast this truck goes down the back straightaway. He's going to have a little traffic, but it's going to be upwards of 150 miles an hour.
Remember, these are on older tires. He came to pit road at lap 41.
Yeah, 70 lap tires right now.
Tires.
And if you ever wonder about how tough these Goodyear Wrangler tires are, what about the tires on James Busher? He's still going on the same set of Goodyears he started this race on. I'm worried about that, Phil. You can only wear through so much rubber before you see air. And that's where James is at right now. He's getting on up there.
And these are the same Goodyear tires that these guys had here in July, as well as both races last year. We talked about James Busher, who led so much of one of these races here last year, and then cut down a right front tire about 40 laps into a run.
We'll see if that strategy of not getting tires and just putting gas in it comes back to haunt him. I think Marcus Richmond, that whole 3 team of Ty Dillon's already scratching their heads thinking, how are we going to get out of this bind we find ourselves in? We know we've got another set of tires here in the pits than everyone else, as does Busher. But Phil, I just haven't seen enough speed out of the new tires to justify giving up the track position to get them.
I think right now, as we talk about, Ty Dillon is not in position to get the free pass and won't be in position to get the free pass. Ross Chastain is putting so many trucks a lap down right now. So I think if the caution flag were to come out right now, I think Ty Dillon has to take the wave around to get back on the lead lap.
Our defending series champion James Busher running in the 11th spot, but the 62 of Brendan Gaughan,
he's got
an issue. Tire issue for Brendan Gaughan. He's down on the apron.
See the right front
completely shredded, and onto pit road he goes. Hermie.
Yeah, Brendan has been talking about being tight all day long. Left front tire was flat when they pitted last time. Now a right front flat. He will hit the pit box. Debris coming off that tire on the right side completely blows as he enters his pit box. They got to raise the right side of the truck up, losing valuable time on this pit stop. You can see the tire off the front of this truck. There'll be 4 tires, a wedge adjustment, and fuel for the 62. They need to free him up just a little bit.
If you're tight, you're going to wear those front tires out more so than if you're not. And so that truck not handling well. Plus, Phil, he's up there in that higher groove. There's not as much rubber up there. Could be more abrasive on those Goodyear tires, causing one of them to cut down.
I think he may have just worn that tire out, too, by running those 75 laps.
And up in that higher groove than most of the other trucks.
So Brendan Gaughan has a little trailer there as he comes off of pit road to get back on the racetrack, but was running in the 3rd spot when he had that right front tire issue.
And that's got to be a real concern. As you can see the tire debris flying off that truck. That has to be a real concern for James Busher, because he has way more laps on his tires than Gaughan did, and he's still out there running. And he's losing ground too. Busher's fallen all the way outside the top 10. So
yeah, he's 18.5 seconds behind our leader right now, Ross Chastain.
There's a lot of
Peters,
teams
though, has closed the gap. Under 3 seconds between he and race leader Ross Chastain.
There's a lot of teams that would like to see the caution flag soon.
And would a caution help Ty Dillon now, even though Ty Dillon running?
That's going to be a tough call, Rick. If you wave around, then you find yourself right back in the same situation because you can't pit. Whereas if he comes to pit road and gets tires, then he can race for that free pass and maybe get back on the lead lap that way. This team's in a real bind. I think even possibly Brendan Gaughan has seen his chances for a victory today go away because he was running in third spot. He's now 2 laps down. So that's going to be really tough to recover from. Of course, if the caution flag waves now, he can wave around, get one of them back, and then race for the free pass. But strategy and trying to figure out how long to stay out is becoming a real issue.
Unlike you, the Ty Dillon pitted on lap number 80, so he's halfway through his next fuel run. If the caution were to come out now, I think I'd come in, put 4 more tires on, and then try, as you mentioned, Michael, try to get that free pass and do it that way, not rely on the wave around, and then knowing I've got to stop in about 35 more laps.
Got a lot of trucks coming to pit road, guys.
31 of James Busher running 11th right now, Ray.
Well, we see the 54 of Bubba Wallace coming down. You were talking about Busher. He said, I'd give everything that I own for a right front tire. Bubba Wallace said, I've got to get freed up a little bit. My truck is too tight. You see that Toyota Care truck on the right, and on the left, the leader of the race coming down pit road. Ross Chastain had a big battle on the racetrack with Joey Coulter. His crew chief said, come on in. I know you're a little bit tight, and we're going to work on this thing for you. Ross said, I want to be freed up, but do not free up my entry too much. You see Brad Keselowski's foundation, the checkered flag on the hood of this truck. Ross says this is the best balanced race truck he's had in a long, long time. They work on that Ford, put 4 tires on it and fuel, and Ross Chastain back to the racetrack. That was lap 123.
You know, guys, what will really work for Ty Dillon is if everybody makes green flag pit stops and he's left on the racetrack, and then the caution flag comes out before he does. Hermie, what's going on with Johnny Sauter?
The 98 truck doing a great job of coming through the pack from starting dead last on the field. A tight race truck Johnny was concerned about. Wearing out the right front tire, also not completely happy with this truck on the straightaway. With 4 tires, fuel, and an air pressure adjustment for the 98.
98 coming off of and out of their pit box. The 17 of Timothy Peters, your race leader, coming on to pit road. Right.
So many of these crew chiefs were really afraid to bring their trucks down pit road till the very last second because there was a good bit of debris on the racetrack. They felt like some of the tire come off of that number 62 truck may have caused a caution. On the left, James Busher getting his first tires of the race at lap 125. Timothy Peters got 4 tires on his first stop. He'll pull his Parts Plus Toyota Tundra in. They're going to put 4 tires on once again. They'll come around this side, and Hermie, I know you've got the 29 coming your way.
Solid run for Ryan Blaney. Of course, he won this race 1 year ago. He's been tight in the center, loose on exit. They're going to take 4 tires on this 29 truck, fill him up with Sunoco fuel, and make a little bit of an air pressure adjustment on the 29. Great.
Matt Crafton said his entry on both ends is not really that good. So he talked to his crew chief, Junior Joyner, and said, I think we should go with a little bit air pressure adjustment on the right side. They gathered this crew together. These guys continue to high-five each other and work hard. They know the consistency's been there, and they know that Crafton's numbers are excellent right here at Iowa. They have a pretty good thing going. Looks like the left rear was a bit of a hang-up. May cost him just a little bit of time here in the pits for that Menards Toyota.
Race leader Brandon Jones. How about that for the young man? And he gets onto pit road a little shaky.
Oh, and he's got to get her wound down. You can see a lot of speed there as he comes on pit road. Did he get it slow enough through that first segment? Rookie making a pit stop with the lead. Could have been close.
Yeah, green flag pit stops. Probably the first time for him ever doing a green flag pit stop, especially in the Camping World Truck Series. Hermie.
Very impressive run for Brandon Jones, only 16 years of age. He's been fighting a free condition on exit. He cannot get the power down off the corners on this 33. It'll be 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, and an air pressure adjustment to the 33.
And you're not going to believe this. Well, Joey Coulter coming onto pit road, but Ty Dillon's running second right now. A second and a half behind Joey Coulter.
He's actually leading the race.
He's going to be the race leader now as he crosses the stripe.
And Phil, you nailed it. He needs a caution.
Yeah.
He needed
right now.
to pit.
Right now.
And if it come out right now, it would be the perfect time for him.
Yep. And he's got a little bit of a cushion now. He's run about 60 laps, about 50 laps since he put tires on. So he's got about a 30-lap cushion before he absolutely has to have that caution flag. Hermie.
Joey Coulter in for his pit stop, 4 tires and fuel. He's been struggling on entry into the corner, 2 free. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel for Joey Coulter.
And you remember, Phil, he was leading the race when he made his pit stop to get his tires. So his cycle through, he's a leader now, and he does have that advantage over the competition for a time being. But if the caution doesn't fly, then he goes right back in the same bind he was in. if they run 10, 15, 20 laps and then he gets his tires, maybe it swings back to an advantage for that 3 truck.
The guy running second has the freshest tires, Ross Chastain. He's been extremely good here in Iowa today. Welcome back to Iowa. Caution coming out. Debris on the racetrack opens the door for Ty Dillon to make his way onto pit road. There's that debris. Let's go down to pit road and Ray.
Well, the timing was good. Ty Dillon needed to get in here, and they wanted to put tires on, but he just came on the radio and said my voltage meter has gone to 0 also. So they're having problems here talking about putting a battery into this thing, and you'll see back there on the left corner they're going to pull the battery cover off and replace the battery for the driver of the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. He was the leader. We're at lap 136, and it all looked like it was going to work out just perfectly for him, but that may not be the case here in Iowa.
Well, Ray, he's going to have a little bit fresher tires, which will be an advantage. There's only going to be a handful of trucks less than 10 on the lead. Well, less than 10 will start ahead of him as long as he doesn't go a lap down here changing the battery, so he'll have some great track position. And the fact that the caution fell before he had to make that next pit stop, Phil, we said that could work out to an advantage for this 3 truck. And if they can get this battery changed and don't lose a lap, which it looks like they will, I think it is a bit of an advantage. He needs that track position that James, or excuse me, that our leader, Ross Chastain, Timothy Peters, Ryan Blaney, those guys have. But at least he's back. He has a fighting chance now.
Before he found himself a lap and a half behind, having to make one more pit stop than everyone else, this is the best possible scenario for them with what happened when it happened.
An opportune stop for the 3 and the 62. This week, college football returns to Fox Sports 1 beginning on Thursday as Tulane takes on Louisiana Tech. Then on Saturday, Virginia Tech battles East Carolina, followed by an in-state battle between Iowa and Iowa State on Fox Sports 1, while California looks to upset third-ranked Ohio State on Fox. Then in the nightcap, it's Pac-12 battle between Oregon State and Utah. Fox Sports is your home for college football all season long.
Brendan Gaughan also came down pit road. There were only 2 trucks on pit road when it opened, and that was the 3 of Ty Dillon and the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. We also have to say that Brendan was able to get back on the lead lap while everyone else made their green flag pit stops.
A few trucks taking the wave around. Ross Chastain scored as your race leader. Currently 13 on the lead lap, and back on pit road we see the 62 and the 3 coming down.
Yeah, there was some problems on the right rear, I think, of the 62 truck when he made a pit stop. And for Dillon, I'm sure it's just a matter of tidying up that battery change.
Maybe just putting the cover back on.
But this is going to be costly for those teams because they'll have to start behind all the trucks that are waving around and have taken the free pass. Just putting
Looking at that battery situation again on the left rear for Ty Dillon.
If Ty Dillon had been able to stay back on the racetrack, he would have started in front of all the wave arounds, Ray.
Yeah, and they're taking a look here at the tires on this truck, making sure all the lug nuts were tight. They'll hang the tire back on that left rear, as you said, tidying that thing up a little bit. Got plenty of fuel, but he said, hold on just a second. There's a problem on the back side, so they'll have to swing around to the right side, and they're going to change tires for this number 3. Hermie?
Well, Ray, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan did come back down pit road. Still concerned about being a little bit tight with this 62, so they came back down, topped off with fuel, made another chassis adjustment. Didn't think what they had was good enough to win, so they came in, made some adjustments, and make one more push to get to the front.
And now with the wave arounds, there are 13 on the lead lap, including Brendan Gaughan and Ty Dillon, most recently on pit road. Ross Chastain, it looks as though he's choosing the outside line for this restart.
Yeah, you talked about 13 on the lead lap, Rick. There's 26 on the track, and that's exactly where Ty Dillon will start along with Brendan Gaughan. So that's a long road to the front. I like this high side. We saw it starting to develop. It gives Chastain a chance to get down into turn 1 a little bit. He's going to get the jump, hopefully, on the start and get down into turn 1 and pick his lane.
And he can drive in there a little bit harder, knowing that if he washes up a little bit, no one's going to be out there for him to run into, where Timothy Peters has to keep it down a little bit tighter.
But Peters is an expert at running that low line. We saw Brendan Gaughan go up high to make passes. Peters never wavered from the bottom of the racetrack. He's really fast down there, so I don't know if I'd want to open up the bottom for a cat like Timothy Peters.
How about that 29 truck of Ryan Blaney? We talked about the restarts, and sometimes that guy inside second row has a bit of an advantage. We saw Ryan Blaney do that in the past year. He won last fall doing this.
After the second caution, let's find out how the restart goes. Green flag back in the air. Ross Chastain on the high side. Timothy Peters on the low side.
There goes Ryan Blaney. We faked it down to the inside.
Side by side through 1 and 2. Not a good choice for Ross Chastain to choose the high line. Timothy Peters takes the lead in Iowa.
Oh, short tracker Timothy Peters. You said, you give me the bottom of the racetrack on a short track, I'll make you pay for it. And he does. He's got the lead.
Here's Ty Dillon, Brendan Gaughan trying to make their way back towards the front from the very back of the pack with 59 laps to go.
Plenty of time in Iowa. We'll see if they're able to take advantage of the fresher tires.
That's what the problem is. Look how fast he is, but nowhere to go. They were up in his groove. I talk about 2 and 3 lanes here in Iowa, but when you're up high, you can't find the middle, or can you?
You do. You make the middle. Justin Lofton in the 6th have a little bobble up there on the high line, and that allows Ty Dillon to get by.
Yeah, every one of those positions on the racetrack, even though they're not for positions in the running order, is going to help.
How about Matt Crafton running in the 3rd spot? We've talked about him continuing to look for top 10 finishes, battling once again for a win at Iowa.
Yeah, I don't think Matt was on pounce mode when we went to Canada to run the road course. I think he was on survival mode. But when you come to Iowa, we talked about his impressive record here. You have to take advantage of your strong races if you're going to win a championship. He's got a big lead, I know, but you can't. You're going to stumble somewhere along the way, you would think. And when you get a chance to star and run up front and have a chance to win, you got to take advantage of it.
There goes Ty Dillon moving around the 51 of Eric Jones. Remember, they made contact here in July, battling for the 2nd position. Right now, if the caution flag were to come out, that would be a huge advantage to Ty Dillon. That would give him a lot of the track position back. He would line up right now inside the 4th row if he could catch a caution.
We've got to work that track position, though, where he's running, trying to get by the 97, a lap down truck.
That's Steve Wallace. Steve bobbles a little bit. He had a tire getaway on his pit stop. He'd run really well all throughout the early stages of the race, but that pit stop problem has relegated him 2 laps down.
So we focus on the 17 of Timothy Peters out in front. Ross Chastain running in the 2nd spot. We've seen before where Ross Chastain, it takes a couple laps for him to get into his groove, get the tires warmed up, and then he's had one of the more dominant trucks here.
But we don't know how much Timothy Peters was holding back. Remember, Timothy Peters won this race here in July. He knows what it takes to get to the end of the race. He knows what he has to have at the end of the race. So Timothy may have been riding along here as we see Ty go through the middle once again.
Rewind. Ty Dillon in the middle. And a little bit of right front smoke on that number 3.
Did he make a little contact with somebody in traffic there? There definitely is some smoke coming from the right front.
Yeah, you can see some damage to the right front of that 3 truck. And Phil, that looks like enough to where we might have to pit again. That tire will blow out if it's rubbing that hard.
Stay out.
And we just heard stay out.
Maybe it'll clearance itself. You see that sometimes as well, where the tire is tough enough to move the metal away from it.
As long as it's laying flat. Dakota Armstrong in the 60. That may be where the contact came from. There it is right there. Just enough to push that right front fender in.
And once again,
Dakota got sideways. Ty was on the gas hard, didn't anticipate Armstrong losing momentum and ran in the back of him. Talked about Steve Wallace there. He's going to run maybe as many as 10 races next year, so it's cool to see the effort between the Adrian Carriers folks and Steve trying to run more and more in the truck series.
There's an awful lot of smoke coming from the right front of that truck, guys.
And it would be detrimental to his championship hopes. Coming into this race, he's 63 points back in the 3rd position as the points stand, trying to win a championship in the trucks before he moves into the Nationwide Series.
And you have Matt Crafton up there running in the 3rd spot, so I'm not sure if that tire goes down and he gets into the outside wall, I'm not sure he's going to be able to overcome that. We may count him out.
Well, he went to the last corner last race with a chance to win, and that crash really hurt his championship chances. Another one, I think, would end his chances.
Timothy Peters in front of Ross Chastain. The gap now 0.59 seconds, just over 0.6 of a second for Timothy Peters in front of Ross Chastain. And that gap has not closed down, although Ross Chastain was the fastest truck on the track the last lap.
Yeah, he only beat him a couple of hundredths, though, and that could just be a situation of a little bobble here or there for Peters. Consistently, they're about even, and man, a guy like Timothy Peters with a lead on a short track is going to be a hard road to overcome, but we know how strong that truck, the 19 truck of Chastain, gets as the laps wear on. He seems to get faster and faster, so could play into his hands.
Ross Chastain in the 19, giving chase to Timothy Peters in the 17.
Let's throw in a little kink about maybe a caution flag and a restart.
Ooh.
I'm guessing Timothy Peters would choose the inside line.
I think so too. The outside didn't work for Ross that time. It worked well at the beginning of the race for Ross Chastain on the initial start, yet he chose the outside for this restart.
That 62 truck hasn't been anywhere near as strong as it was earlier since he had his flat tire, racing back there with Hornaday and Max Gresham, and those trucks are in the back half of the top 20.
A lot of that times with that rubber wrapping around stuff underneath that truck, it could do some damage.
Brendan Gaughan on the lead lap. Hornaday a lap down, running in the 19th spot.
Yeah, Hornaday's 19th, Gresham's 20th, so and Brendan's not going anywhere. That's got to be concerning to him, considering he was running in the 3rd spot when he had problems earlier.
A little bit frustrating for the driver of the 62. No problems for Timothy Peters in front of this field. Has a 6/10 second lead over Ross Chastain. Matt Crafton running in the top 5 and 3rd. Blaney and Sauter, your top 5 in Iowa. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. The fewest cautions ever at Iowa Speedway was 5. And that was back in July. And it looks as though we may break that record. Only 2 cautions through the first 163 laps of the 200.
People get a little impatient as the lap
really
down. And so,
do you remember last week?
Really? People get impatient?
You remember what the last laps looked like when we were up in Canada? We're in Iowa now, a lot of room to race. It's a hard charging racetrack. I wouldn't be so sure that we haven't seen the last of the caution.
You know, it seems like no matter how much room we have, people always start fighting for space on those racetracks.
Take a look at the speeds at the line.
Last time by, it was Timothy Peters that was the fastest. We've seen Ross Chastain beat Timothy a lot of laps, and again, there's Chastain. He's faster than our leader.
Matt Crafton second quick, and Timothy Peters third quick. With the laps winding down, just 35 to go. James Busher on the back bumper of Darrell Wallace Jr.
These two have been battling hard for this 6th spot. Darrell Wallace Jr. is holding it, and feels like he's a little bit loose. So he goes down the corner and bobbles, and James tries to jump on him, but then once Bubba gets her aimed, then James has a hard time doing anything with him.
It's been a rock-solid, steady race for Bubba Wallace. We haven't seen a whole lot of him, but he's been right there in the back half of the top 10 this entire race. Right now running in the 6th spot, trying to hold off James Busher.
Busher looking at the inside once again. Now has the nose underneath that 54 as they come out of turn 4.
Whoa. Looked like he had the nose almost into the side of the 54 as they exited turn 4.
Bubba had a solid top 10 here in July. Ran 8th in that one.
Looking to better that by a couple of spots.
James Busher, after starting in the 3rd spot, is now fighting for that 6th position. And it looks as though he had the advantage coming out of turn number 4, but the momentum for Darrell Wallace Jr. paid off when they got to the stripe. Now Busher has the advantage through 1 and 2. And the caution comes out. Caution number 3, some debris in turn 2 is what we're hearing from NASCAR.
That's going to be a huge break for Ty Dillon. That'll give him the track position unless he comes to pit road and gives it up to work on that truck and maybe beat out that right front fender.
Is it important enough with 31 laps to go to come to pit road to get tires if you have them?
I think that Busher has some.
I think he does have some, because remember he did not pit.
He pitted, but he didn't put tires on.
Didn't put tires on. Exactly.
So I think Busher might have a set, and darn right I'm going to get him.
With only 13 trucks on the lead lap, absolutely come in and get tires if you have them.
That's the only way to take advantage of that strategy that they employed on the first pit stop.
We know that Timothy Peters and Ross Chastain do not have tires. They put tires on that first caution flag around lap 41. We know they don't have any tires left, but James Busher might. And if I did have tires and I was Timothy Peters, as good as that truck's been, I may stay out anyway and keep that track position. But right now, James Busher is back in the 7th spot, struggling, trying to get by Bubba Wallace. I think he comes.
Well, the pits are open and none of our leaders are coming, and it's up to James Busher to decide And James comes.
Buescher does decide to come to pit road. He has the 54 of Darrell Wallace Jr. on his inside. If James Buescher has to get to his stall first, Wallace is going to have to slow down. That's exactly what he has done.
Well, that's a last-second call by Michael Shelton to bring James Buescher in.
And we talked about not having tires. All the teams have tires, but they're all worn out or used.
Ray
New ones is what you need, Ray.
Yeah, Michael Shelton said, let's stay out. I like that track position better. And Buescher said, but if they start coming behind me, I want to come. They made that decision. They pulled in. This will be his second set of tires. Those are stickers going on that Exide Chevrolet. And for Bubba Wallace, today he has said this truck has been all sorts of crazy. He said it goes from tight to loose, and it's just like it's riding on a razor blade. But they go and put some tires on that one as well. So the guys running from 6th on back hit pit road.
I love what James Buescher did. You saw how late he made that decision. He's a champion. He said, if they come behind me, I'm coming. He looked in his mirror and made that decision.
Green flag in the air. Timothy Peters chooses the inside line. Ross Chastain on the outside line, trying to make the outside line work. This time he has more of a momentum, carrying through 1 and 2 for the lead. Timothy Peters is sideways. Ross Chastain has the lead.
Timothy got into the wall there. You see Ryan Blaney, the 29. Bubba Wallace pushed up the racetrack.
Look at John List Talley takes some
And sliding in turn number 4, Miguel Paludo gets it straightened back out. Do we stay green? It looks as though we do.
Okay, Timothy Peters made some contact with that outside wall. I'm not sure if it's going to affect his truck or not. You can see the damage to the back of that Parts Plus Toyota.
Look at James. There's Ty Dillon, and look at James Buescher. He's already on the back of Matt Crafton with those fresh tires. This is shaping up to be a heck of a run to the finish for Buescher.
BKR 1 and 2. Ross Chastain in front of Ryan Blaney. 25 laps to go.
That was the restart we expected to see here at Iowa. Did you see what all was going on there? Paludo all but spun out. Here comes Ty Dillon to the inside of Peters.
You know, Ty Dillon is a young driver on a mission as well. Not able to make the move. You see all the damage to the back of that 17 truck. We eavesdrop on Butch Hilton and Timothy Peters talking about which line to take on that restart. They said, let's take the inside line, but man, Ross Chastain had a great restart.
He did. Look at Ross on the outside. He's a little bit loose getting into the corner, and he slides up, Phil, but Timothy doesn't ever come out of the gas. He tries to stay hard in it, and look, sideways, just like we saw happen to him at Bristol, and then boom, hit the outside wall.
Enabling Ryan Blaney to get by. So now 1 and 2 is Ross Chastain and Ryan Blaney. A gap of 0.6 of a second between the top two. Then Timothy Peters running 3rd, Ty Dillon 4th, James Buescher in 5th.
James Buescher's that truck we have to keep our eye on. He's the guy with the fresh tires there. He's already gotten by this 88 of Matt Crafton. Going to try to get by the 3 of Ty Dillon.
54 of Darrell Wallace Jr. Bubba also came down pit road. He's running in the 7th spot behind Crafton. Now to the inside. Bubba trying to get by Matt Crafton for that spot.
Phil Crafton racing for a championship. He's not going to take many chances. I know there's still 8 races to go. You got a big point lead. We talked about Crafton jumping on an opportunity when he was up inside that top 5. He was probably set on go mode, and now he's getting challenges, dropping back through the top 10. How's he going to handle that?
They're getting beat by trucks with better tires than he has right now. See, Ty Dillon now has moved up the racetrack. He hasn't been able to advance. He could not keep the 31 of James Buescher behind him. Those fresh tires are on the move.
Look at that. Run down into turn 3. He dives hard in there low. Makes it stick.
James Buescher now up to the 4th spot. Timothy Peters running in the 3rd position. Chastain, Ryan Blaney, Peters, Buescher, Ty Dillon, your top 5. 20 laps of racing to go from Iowa. A driver that's never been to victory lane in the Camping World Truck Series is out front, 20 laps away from his first win.
And he has his teammate, the 29 of Ryan Blaney, behind him. He knows that if Ryan was able to catch him, that he's going to race him clean. But right now, the important thing is he's got a little bit of a cushion between himself and the guys running 3rd and 4th.
And that 3rd place truck is Timothy Peters, and he's got a little bit of damage. The 4th place truck is James Buescher, and he's got new tires. So all kinds of different scenarios shaping up at the front of this baby.
I just don't know if James Buescher is going to have enough time. He's going to be able to get by Timothy Peters, I think, but he's being shown 2.8 seconds behind right now with 18 laps to go. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to get there.
Could be Ross Chastain's favorite racetrack. Fast once again as he crossed the stripe. He is the fastest that last lap. 18 to go for Ross Chastain. Brad Keselowski Racing looking very impressive once again at Iowa.
So I believe another caution is really going to play into James Buscher's hands. That truck's really fast. He's being held up right now by Peters, but he's making a run to the inside of Timothy. He gets this position. You just watch how fast he gains on those two leaders. He gets one shot at him at the end with a restart. Could be James's race. He's making the move on Peters.
He's got him. It looks like he's up to third.
So Buscher with the new tires is making moves. Also, Darrell Wallace Jr. with new fresh tires is making moves on the 3 of Ty Dillon.
He makes that pass.
Guy's going to drive it. Ty's going to try to battle back on the inside. See Matt Crafton right there, the 88 stalking both of them.
The right front damage to the 3 of Ty Dillon doesn't look to have affected that tire. The smoke is decreased from the 3 of Dillon.
Right now, Bubba Wallace is in the driver's seat as far as that battle goes with the fresher tires. He's able to ease out in front of the 3 of Ty Dillon. Now Matt Crafton going after the 3 of Ty Dillon.
Crafton looking to the inside of Dillon in the 88. It looks as though he's going to take that spot away from Ty.
Man, that momentum on the outside's big, though, isn't it, Rick? You could see Ty got to run off that corner, drove all the way back up by Crafton. Man, that's aggravating as a racer. You're down on the bottom, you make the pass, and you just need a bit of a fender link to make the clear the guy, and you can't do it.
And once again, we're seeing that high line come back into play. Looks as though
we got spin
for Dillon, spinning in turn 4. The 4 of Jeb Burton and the 33 of Brandon Jones involved.
The teammates from Turner Scott Motorsports, they were battling for the 9th position.
Looked like the classic example of the kid, the 33 maybe. Well, I say kid, they're both 16 and 21, so.
4th caution coming out. See some damage to the left rear of that 33 of Brandon Jones.
Huge break for James Buscher. Now he's going to be right in striking distance of our Brad Keselowski teammates who will restart on the inside of the 2nd row.
And you talked earlier how cool that spot is as a racer, especially with some fresher tires. He's probably going to have a better chance to get his momentum going when they restart the race. His tires have a little bit more grip in them. He could parlay that into a 3-wide move down into turn 1.
A lot of parts and pieces falling off of this 33 as he tries to get back to pit road.
Talked about the incident. Classic down on the inside and getting loose.
Well, he was loose just about even before he got down in the corner. He was already loose.
Brandon Jones, not a lot of experience. We talked the 150-mile-an-hour speeds down in the corner. He was in the inside of Jeff Burton. Just couldn't turn the truck left enough to keep it off of Burton without it getting loose, and that's exactly what happened.
Such a tough break for him. The young man was running in the top 10, looked like he had a good solid top 10 going, and unfortunately a mistake, got a little bit loose, get in the corner and took a teammate out.
Both drivers on the lead lap. There were only 14 trucks on the lead lap. We'll add one with a free pass. That'll make it 15 on the lead lap for the restart, and we see the 33 of Brandon Jones making his way onto pit road. And as I mentioned, you're seeing a right front tire that has a lot of damage. There's damage to the rear of that truck, but also there were parts falling out of that truck as it was making its way around the track.
Yeah, he had a lot of contact to the rear of it, so the officials here at the Iowa Speedway are out cleaning things up, and we're going to dust this baby off and probably see a restart that could outperform the one we just had before, where they were sideways and 3 wide.
Now, which line is Ross Chastain going to take?
That'll be the
initial start of the race. He had the inside line. He jumped out in front, led easily. Now he lost the lead to Timothy Peters by restarting from the outside. What's he going to do, Michael?
But he gained the lead when he was on the outside of Timothy Peters on the most recent.
Exactly. So
I'm going to go with the most recent success I had. I'm going to put myself on the outside. I know I have a teammate inside of me in Ryan Blaney that's not going to go down in the corner, I hope, and use me up. I also like the fact that if you do choose the outside, it puts Buscher, that fast truck with those fresh tires, he has to go around the inside, and that'll put him on the inside of Blaney, and maybe that gives Ross a chance to run around the outside. It's going to be a heck of a restart.
Yeah, and Ross gets on the radio and says, hey, how about teammate Ryan Blaney? Make sure Buscher doesn't get to your inside. Block his advances, will you?
Let's check in on our top 4. We'll start with the 17 of Timothy Peters, Ray.
All the way back there, remember he was the leader when we first restarted, and he came on the radio, asked his crew chief Butch Hilton what happened. He said, I don't know, but he said we were really in a box. As the leader, they had no shot at coming down pit road, didn't have good tires to put on, so they really were sort of in the bed that they had. Keep in mind, James Buescher came down at 168. The reason they set that up is because on lap 41, when everybody came in the pits for the first time, they put no tires on. That left Buescher with a set of stickers, and he was in pretty good shape. What do you think about the 29, Hermie?
Well, these guys are talking to Ryan Blaney. He has won at this racetrack before, so obviously knows how to get it done. But a couple comments they're making to Ryan, obviously staying on the racetrack, so nothing they can do for him on pit road, but reminding him, number 1, keep your tires clean for this restart. Number 2, make sure you get fuel to the pickup. Remember, a couple of our short track races, we've seen drivers have issues taking off at the end of green flag runs. So they're reminding the 29, keep fuel in the pickup as best as possible. Right?
Just asked Chad Kendrick what he was going to do about going inside or out, and he said, I don't know yet. They've been talking it over. Remember, these teammates up there, they're not sure which line is best for Ross. He said, I don't know what the decision is. I think I'm going to leave it in the driver's hands.
And let's look back at the most recent restarts just to see which line does look like the best line to take. Ross Chastain was on the outside. Timothy Peters was on the inside.
Yeah, and if I'm Chastain, I don't know how I don't take the outside, because look at this run he got on the outside through the center of the corner, and then look at the bind that Timothy Peters gets in trying to grab that spot. He about crashed.
Yeah, and the only disadvantage to taking that outside line is if you don't get a good enough start and Timothy Peters or whoever it may have been beats you down to the corner and can jump up to the middle of the racetrack and block both lanes.
Timothy Peters, we ride along.
Watch how close he comes to crashing. This truck's sideways.
He did crash. He's going to hit the wall right there.
And that's exactly the way he crashed at Bristol on the last lap trying to win the race.
That's how hard that 17 hit as we rode along with Ty Dillon.
And that same truck right now is running in the 4th spot.
8 laps to go. They're still continuing to clean the track and check out the safer barrier, so it will be about a handful of laps that they will be able to settle this in.
I think it may all come down to the restart, guys. Whatever happens on the restart may be what dictates who goes to victory lane here.
Still seeing some debris in the groove in turns 1 and 2.
The track crew does such a great job of cleaning these racetracks up in such a expedited manner.
They do that. This track does such a great job of taking care of these great fans. So many folks on hand today to enjoy some Sunday afternoon truck racing.
State-of-the-art facility here in Newton, Iowa.
It is.
And a gorgeous day for racing. So we're glad the fans were able to come out and enjoy this. Kim Lopez letting them know one more time around and we'll get the green flag.
Pete Ross is going to the outside. He's got his team. I think that's the best move. And you know you got a friendly face down on the inside. We know Ryan Blaney wants to win this race, but he is not going to take his teammate out to do it.
Although the caution we're out for now is because
teammates wrecked?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes it happens.
Sometimes. We've seen it before.
Just saying.
We may see it again. When they come back to the line, it will be 7 laps of racing to go from Iowa. Ross Chastain has chose the outside line as our race leader. Ryan Blaney to the inside line.
Had a couple of first-time winners
at this track. Ryan Blaney got his first win. Austin Dillon also his first win back in 2010.
Matt Crafton got a first one in a long time here. So this place promotes itself to some new blood, and we've got some new blood on the front row.
On the outside line, Ross Chastain, 6 laps away from his first ever win in the Camping World Truck Series. Ryan Blaney has won here before. Can he get there again? Green flag back in the air.
Watch Buescher. See Ryan Blaney move down to the inside to block Buescher.
They're door to door, side by side through 1 and 2. Teammates. Now Ryan Blaney has the advantage as he comes out of turn number 2. Blaney leading at Iowa.
Well, I didn't expect that.
You didn't expect Brian to come off 2 with the lead. Well, he just did an amazing job. He got that baby down on the bottom, made it stick, and drove around his teammate.
5 laps of racing to go. Blaney in front of Ross Chastain. Then it's 7 meters. Contact from the 31 of Buescher. Peters is sideways. He keeps it straight until he catches up to the 3 of Ty Dillon. Caution comes out.
Well, we're going to get to do it again.
Oh, me.
With teammates on the front row once again. And how about Bubba Wallace now running 3rd?
Yeah, and how about Ryan Blaney gets to choose? Do I choose the inside or the outside? Which will work best?
Okay. This test doesn't have a clear answer yet. We've seen everything work, and I think it just matters still what kind of grip you get down there when you get to turn 1, how you're able to angle yourself into that corner. We saw Blaney having to worry about what was on the inside of him, but then he gave up on blocking Buescher and sort of moved to the middle of the track and got a good angle into the corner. What a great move by that young man.
He blocked his initial advance and then moved up so he could make the corner.
Ryan Blaney's slow on the backstretch. He slowed way down, wasn't keeping up with a cautious pace. He's going back now.
We heard about pickup problems on the fuel.
Hermie, what was going on with the 29?
Ryan Blaney comes on the radio and says, out of fuel, out of fuel. Crew Chief Doug Randolph saying, pit road, out of fuel procedure, out of fuel procedure. But they're making sure it's a pickup issue or out of fuel. You can see the 29 shaking the truck on the racetrack. But now the question is, did he maintain caution car speed? We'll have to wait and see.
A cautious pace is what they asked them to do, and Ryan Blaney was slow, almost came to a stop in the middle of the backstretch before he caught back up to his teammate.
He was 6 or 8 trucks back in line, Rick, when he finally started running again.
Yeah, NASCAR is going to have to make the call whether he's going to blend in back where he was in the lead or blend in where he got going again. It would surprise me to let him keep the lead.
After slowing down as much as he did on the backstretch. So we're under caution because of this. A little contact.
James Buescher was on the inside of Timothy Peters. Timothy turns into the corner. James wasn't dead on the bottom of the racetrack, but watch Timothy drive this baby. Holds on to it, gets into the side of the 3 truck of Ty Dillon, and finally loses control.
I think if the 3 wasn't there, Timothy would have saved that.
The entire field did a great job avoiding Timothy. You see him, he stays with it.
What a great job by Ty Dillon driving around Timothy Peters. He had to really get hard on the brakes. That's one of them deals where you're down to the last few laps and a couple people going for the same piece of ground.
There's James Buescher.
You see James had already committed to the corner, so he got in the corner as hard as he could get in, then Timothy came down. He did not expect Timothy to come down. You see James had made the move there. And then Timothy was just trying to take the normal low line into the corner.
We're hearing that NASCAR is taking a look at how they want to set the field for this restart.
Phil, are other people going to be in trouble on their fuel? We heard his crew talking earlier about some pickup issues on that Ford pickup.
Ross actually pitted before the 29 did. So Ross pitted on lap 122. Ryan pitted on lap 126.
Take another look at the replay.
We'll see how far he falls back.
Watch the pace car now. The pace car is running pace car speed. You see the field going by him. He really has the field seized up. He's well behind the 88 of Matt Crafton.
Yeah, he gets it fired back up and then drives right back up to the bumper of the 19.
I think he was probably back to around the 10th spot. Herman Quiroga, I believe the 77 had gotten by him, and Herman right now is being shown in the 9th spot.
NASCAR rule states you must maintain a cautious pace, which is the pace car speed.
We're going overtime.
Looks as though we will have a green-white checker.
That can't be good when you're low on fuel, can it?
No, Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton, both in the same scenario. Johnny pitted on 123, Matt on 126, so there may be more guys with an issue. I don't know why are they not running down on the flat of the racetrack, Michael, to try to keep that fuel over to that right rear corner, which is where the pickup is, because the centrifugal force forces the fuel over there.
Yeah. 12, 14, 16 degrees of banking isn't helping your cause. If you can get it flat, keep that fuel in the pickup. Saw multiple trucks have this same issue at Bristol, Tennessee on our last short track race.
Boy, Matt Crafton certainly can't afford for this to happen to him right now, running in the 7th spot. Only 14 trucks on the lead lap. One of those is the crippled truck
so we
of
are
Timothy
14 to
Peters.
the good here, so it's all about getting to the pickup.
Just heard the crew chief say we're 14 to the good. 14 laps they believe they still have.
And there's no doubt in my mind there is that much fuel in that fuel cell, but you have to make sure it stays in that little box.
Now we're getting told to go draft behind the 88 because we did maintain caution speed here.
There we hear it.
Yeah. Just told by NASCAR they have to go behind the 88. They did not maintain the caution speed.
And that's the right call. You've got to keep up. We saw Ross Chastain try to slow down long enough to give his teammate a chance to keep the spot.
Fuel.
Sounds like Doug Randolph's going to go ahead and bring him in the pits now with nothing to lose. They're going to put him back about 8th.
So that's where he took off.
He was behind the 88 for sure, and maybe the 77. But NASCAR had a good view of it, and it's going to place the 29 truck back in the 8th spot. But he's going to give that up, Phil. 15 trucks on the lead lap. He's going to come to pit road and start behind all of them.
Yeah, basically on a green-white checker.
So he'll have 2 laps. As he comes onto pit road, they're going to fill it full of fuel, Hermie, and probably make a couple tire adjustments.
Rick, they're going to put 4 tires on it. They got 4 tires, scuffs that are going on this truck. Very disappointed, as you can imagine. And as the crew chief said, all we can hope for is get back on the racetrack, have a good restart, maybe a couple more cautions, gain as many spots as we can before the end of this race. Ray.
Hermie, Ross Chastain has decided to take the bottom groove. He will restart on the inside. James Busher will be to the outside. Chad Kendrick told him, I think you had a really good momentum run from the high side. Ross said he feels like his tires have gone away enough and he just doesn't have enough rear forward grip. He thinks the inside will be the advantage. So we'll see how that plays out. The 19 will restart on the inside.
Green-white checker.
The truck beside him's got some good tires on it.
We talked about the restarts and how important they are at this racetrack, and feel like the restarts are going to dictate who's going to win this.
We're not going to go this time, adding a lap to make sure the order is right on this very important, critical green-white checker restart.
Yeah, a few still unsure of which position they should be in. That's why you're seeing them run 3 wide there. They're questioning the position that they're in.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney should be able to drive up to the back of the lead lap trucks. Right now he's at the very tail end of the field. He should be able to drive up right behind Max Gresham.
Yeah,
no, he didn't hit the first time by, Phil, so his first opportunity, which means he has to start.
That's true.
Start at the back of the field. Anytime you don't go through the proper pit stop protocol, you start at the end of the line, and that's where he'll be. But I don't agree with pitting right there because there's no way to make up all that ground.
And they may not have realized that they were going to not be able to drive up to the back of the lead lap trucks because NASCAR just informed them at that point
where they were going to restart.
NASCAR would have informed them right away, hey, you can't do that. Then he would have pitted the first time by.
And now we see the 81.
No, he wouldn't have because he thought he was leading.
Yeah,
he was convinced he was the leader.
That's trying to exit pit road, and it looks as though he has stalled. So Krzyzewski is trying to figure out what he needs to do to get off the track.
We just need to get a couple guys there and push that thing back in behind the wall.
Now with this, that's going to back this field up again.
We're going green, Rick.
And it looks as though they're going to keep him right where he is for the restart. Green-white checker. Green flag back in the air.
Great jump by Ross Chastain. He got a big gap on Busher, but Busher's strong on that high side.
Here comes the momentum. Ross Chastain trying to hang on. Joey Coulter behind him, gets up into the wall. Collects the 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
Busher has the lead. We have to see when he got the lead. See Ross Chastain trying to drive underneath him, but caution is out. We will have another attempt at a green-white checker finish. There's Brendan Gaughan. He got caught up when the 18 of Joey Coulter got sideways and slid up to the outside wall.
These guys are all trying to make sure people know what position they're in. They ran really fast because they don't know exactly what scoring like the timing line, what timing line the caution came out on. Hard crash for Coulter. Look at that.
Going to be a break for Ryan Blaney, though. He will not have to go back to the back. He will be able to restart up in line with the lead lap trucks.
He scored 13th, but a couple trucks in front of him with issues. Brendan Gaughan, obviously a lot of damage. The 18 also. Joey Coulter, damage to that truck. Another look.
Looked like something might have happened to Brendan Gaughan's truck. He looked like he went straight for a moment there, and that forced the 18 up into the outside wall, caught him in the left rear quarter panel. A lot of damage to both of those trucks.
Well, this doesn't help your fuel issues any, boys. We talk about Matt Crafton.
Okay, those trucks were pretty even, so it all depends on when the caution came out and where the most recent loop was.
It'll take a little while to clean up the debris from this one. Joey Coulter. A lot of damage to the front of that truck, and tempers once again beginning to flare.
Emotions in motion.
It's an emotional sport, and when you have a truck that looks like that, it's even worse. Fan Appreciation 200 continues after this. Getting ready for our second attempt of 3 possible green-white checker finishes for the Fan Appreciation 200 presented by New Holland. We're under caution because the 62 of Brendan Gaughan up the track into the 18 of Joey Coulter.
Yeah, it looks like something definitely happened, whether Brendan cut down the right front tire or something broke. He went straight when he got to the corner. I'm sure certainly wasn't intentional, was it, Hermie?
Let's hear from Brendan Gaughan. What happened to your truck on the racetrack?
No, we had some brake issues from earlier, and I got to apologize to all the Richard Schroeder guys because we were about to salvage a decent finish in the South Point Chevy after all the battles, and really got to apologize to Joey. Joey and I are buddies, and Harold Holly's a little hot-headed some days, but it'll be all right. I went in, brake pedal just had none, drove right up into him. Completely my fault, and didn't know, the pedal wasn't going to stop me. So I'm sorry, guys, and sucks. We were about to salvage a top 10 day.
A good top 10 day turned bad for the 62 team.
Unfortunate for both Brendan Gaughan and the 18 of Joey Coulter. One more look.
This is a short track, Rick, and when you go down to the corner, you rely heavily on those brakes to get around the turns. Brendan didn't have any, and Joey just happened to be the unfortunate guy that was in the wrong place at the right time.
Meanwhile, we had a great battle for the lead. James Busher and Ross Chastain. Looked like Busher had the edge, but we don't know exactly when the caution came out. There's Harold Holly, crew chief for Joey Coulter. Again, he doesn't know that there was an issue on Brendan's truck, and sometimes these guys, things get a little bit heated down there.
They're protecting their territory.
And so much is emotion at the moment. When they find that out, they're going to say, okay, we understand. Brendan apologized, but it doesn't make it any better for the 18 of Joey Coulter.
Nothing Brendan can do. Brakes go away, and that's that. Big decision, Phil. Where does James Busher pick to restart?
I think he's going to go with the outside.
The outside is where he restarted the last time.
Where did Johnny Sauter come from? Right now, Johnny Sauter.
From last, Phil.
It came from last, and he's restarting third. You got Ty Dillon on the outside and fourth. There's Matt Crafton, our point leader, back in the third row, along with Bubba Wallace. We may have a third attempt here, guys. I'm not convinced that we can get it done one more time.
You can only have 3. This will be the second attempt at a green-white checker finish.
We've got a lot of guys low on fuel here. Ross Chastain, Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton, all on fumes right now, I believe.
Ross Chastain looking for his first win in the Camping World Truck Series. Busher trying to get his season back on track and try to challenge for that championship.
And don't think Johnny Sauter won't make it 3 wide here when they get down to turn 1.
If he needs to get the win. Pace car makes its way off the track. 2 by 2 they go. Busher and Chastain in row number 1. Coming out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air.
Great even start for our 2 leaders. Chastain strong on the inside. Look, here comes Johnny Sauter.
Sauter looks to the inside. Doesn't have the advantage yet. Now, Chastain trying to give it all he can.
He's getting loose.
He wiggles and wobbles a bit as he comes out of turn 2. Ducks in behind the 31 of James Busher.
Ty Dillon, Johnny Sauter side by side for third. Now it looks like Dillon has the advantage.
If they get back to the white flag, this will be the final attempt at a green-white checker. They do get to the white flag. Busher out in front, 1 to go.
What an outstanding job James Busher did on the last 2 restarts. One got him the lead, the next one kept him the lead.
And think about that call he made from the cockpit of coming to pit road and getting those tires. He made it on the fly, and it was the right call.
James Busher gets to victory lane in Michigan. He'll do it again in 2013. Busher winning in Iowa. Ross Chastain coming home in second. Ty Dillon, after a controversial strategy of staying on the racetrack early, is going to come home third. And a pretty quick running number 17. And he will let his displeasure be known to the 31.
Well, he wasn't real happy about the restart there. I'm not sure that was a congratulatory bump.
No, that was just saying you did me wrong on that restart. You spun me around.
James Busher will celebrate. It's the second race in a row where we've had little action after the checkered flag has flown.
Heck, we had some before it flew.
James Buescher is going to celebrate his 6th Camping World Truck Series win. We'll be in Victory Lane next. And welcome back to Iowa Speedway. Fan Appreciation 200, presented by New Holland, is in the books. Our Ram Guts and Glory. The final restart. Buescher on the outside. Ross Chastain on the inside. Buescher able to make it work.
You talk about someone giving it all they had to try to win their first race. Watch Ross Chastain. He dives hard into the corner. He's got his nose out in front. He can taste victory.
He gets loose, has to chase it up the hill. James Buescher is right there and just drives by on the outside. The restart before last got him the lead, and this restart right here got him the win.
Buescher grabbing his 6th career Camping World Truck Series win and putting him just another step closer to a possible back-to-back championship. Now let's go to Hermie.
Well, Ross Chastain, you finished P2. You just watched that final restart. Your emotions right now as you finish 2nd at Iowa.
I've never had a race car that handled like that. Chad Kendrick, Tommy Ellis, Brian, all the guys, Tom Ackerman. This BKR team is strong, and I gave one away today. We were a little too tight on the short run, and that hurt us there. Whether it was on the outside or the bottom, I had to crank a bunch of wheel, and it was unpredictable. Just the way I was driving it was not the right way. Just trying to get a little too much. Gave it away. James drove a great race. I think he had fresher tires, and there were some discrepancies throughout the race, but watch the replay and see how all that turned out. But all in all, this Checkered Flag Foundation Ford F-150 was strong, and we're going to keep coming back to the racetrack each week for the rest of the year. This strong. You know, I don't know how many more chances I'm going to get, and this is my shot. And trying to do the best I can and get Brad some wins in this Owners Championship. That's what we're going for. And we keep running like this, we'll be just fine. And, I hope to be in this sport a long time.
That's Ross Chastain, 2nd place today. And Ray's in Victory Lane. Ray?
Yeah, Hermie, here comes James Buescher climbing out. Turner Scott Motorsports back in Victory Lane. Once again, this is career win number 6 for James Buescher. Exide Batteries has a motto, and their saying is stay positive, and this team certainly has. They pick up a win at Michigan, and James, 4 consecutive races in a row where you've gained just a little bit on Matt Crafton each time.
Slow and steady wins the race. A little bit's better than not gaining at all. You know, this guy, 6 weeks old Friday and been to Victory Lane twice, so there he goes. Chevy winner circle right there. Man, all these guys worked so hard this weekend. Got to thank everybody with Exide, Ream, FOE, Ariat Boots, Bell, Alpine Stars, Tag Heuer Eyewear, everybody that helps us come to the racetrack every week. And first race with Exide on it this year, and that's 2 wins in the last 4 races. So we're coming for this championship.
Early on, James, you guys decided not to put tires on it to save a set for the end. Was that the original plan, or did it just end up working out in your favor?
No, I told Shelton in the hauler this morning, you know, we've been talking all weekend how NASCAR took a set of tires away from us compared to the night race earlier this year, which is a little backwards as far as tire wear is concerned. It's worse in the middle of the day. So I told him in the hauler he was wanting to save a set. I said, don't put a set on before lap 100 because I'm going to want them later. No matter how bad I'm crying for tires in the first 100 laps, if we can, let's just wait. And we were in position to do it, and it worked. You know, it was tough. It was close. Came down to some green-white checkers, but you know, that was our plan. We stuck with it, and it worked out.
All right, they had a plan, and guess what? His wife, Chris, brings Stetson in. Stetson back in Victory Lane for the 2nd time in his young life.
So celebration will continue for James Buescher. Now there was a little upset payback for the 17 from Timothy Peters. Right after the checkered flag flew, he let James Buescher know he didn't appreciate the way he was raced on the track. Crowd Goes Wild is the new weekday talk show with Regis Philbin and a cast of former athletes and journalists where you can always expect the unexpected. Catch Crowd Goes Wild every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern right here on Fox Sports 1. Celebration continuing in Victory Lane. At the opposite end of this celebration is the 17 of Timothy Peters. He's with Hermie.
Well, Rick, Timothy Peters ended up 12th in this race today. series of events towards the end of the race. Contact with 31 twice on the restart and after the race. Go back to the restart on the racetrack. What happened from your perspective?
After that caution, just my parts plus tundra got a little too tight, and we lost a little ground. I feel like I was holding my line, especially with the laps left. So 31 kind of just ran in there and got into us. So I'm glad the truck's in one piece. We'll go to Chicago. It's elbows up from here.
You picked up a spot in the points, though. I know the 88 is kind of out front and gone. How does your emotions for the season or your goals for the season change?
We're still going to go after this championship. Matt and those guys have got it together. It's kind of like the year that we had last year. So we're getting there. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So proud of everybody on this Red Horse Racing team. And, I can't thank everybody enough that helps me. Orders by Nelson, Liquor Performance, Adams Arms. So, hey, nothing to hang our head about. We're going to Chicago from here.
That's Timothy Peters. Ray?
Well, Hermie, Ty Dillon drives truck number 3. He's third in points, and today you finished third, but I'd like to know how you got there, because that was one of the most interesting days I've ever seen.
Well, it all started with a fast race truck, and if we weren't fast, we wouldn't have been able to do all the stuff that we did. And, man, we really had another opportunity to win a race today. I feel like we had the fastest truck for sure, and just we seem to have issues every week. If it wasn't for bad luck, I don't think we'd have any luck at all. We had I think our alternator kind of went out on us, went bad, and volts went to 0 right before we came into pit to take tires. And I think our strategy is going to work out all right. We're going to have fresher tires than everybody. We're going to be like 7th or 8th and be able to come back through them and be right in the hunt. But had to change battery. My guys did an awesome job of changing the battery and not going a lap down. I'm proud of them. We got a championship caliber team. We just got to get some good luck. And after that, coming back through the field, once you have to start last, there's always stuff you have to miss. There's a bunch of junk in the way. So got into it with, I think, the 60 about spun out off the corner and couldn't get out of the way fast enough and knocked a hole in the right front fender. And we just lost a lot of downforce on that. And then since the alternator went out, our next battery, it wasn't taking charge, so we had to run no fans, and that kind of just hurt our long run ability there. Our tires got pretty hot, but I'm proud of my guys. I'm proud of our effort. We're all working hard as we can, and we just got to keep going. If we can get some good luck, we'll click off some wins here. It's just disappointing to be so fast every week and have something go wrong every week too.
Okay, that's Ty Dillon. He comes home with a third today. It all ends up pretty good at the end of the day.
Top 5 finish, third for Ty Dillon. Celebration for James Busher as he gets back on track, now only 37 points behind points leader Matt Crafton. Welcome back to Newton, Iowa. The Pizza Ranch victory lane still hopping. James Busher was able to grab his 6th career win in the Camping World Truck Series. Now let's hear from a guy who had fuel issues late in the race. He's with Hermie.
Yeah, Ricky finished 10th, but was figuring into the race for the win. You were 14 laps to the good on fuel, yet you couldn't pick it up. Any idea what went wrong on the 29?
I don't know. 14 laps to the good, really baffles me. Just little air bubble in the fuel line, and that'll do it. It shuts it off for 2 seconds till the fuel finally picks back up in the carburetor, and that's all it takes. It's disappointing. Everyone here on this Brad Keselowski team did a great job, and we weren't that great to start out the day, and they kept working on it, and I thought we were really competitive there the last run. And, restart, we got the lead there, which was kind of surprising. I wasn't that good on restarts, and kind of longer runs is what we liked, but got the lead, and that's when it shut off. So, anyways, really proud of my guys on our Cooper Standard Ford F-150. I think they did a great job of working to get better from yesterday to the end of the race today, and a good job by my teammate Ross Chastain. He was dominant car all day, or truck I should say, and sucks he didn't get him one, but we had a chance to finish P1 and 2, and that just shows you how strong BKR is. So we'll get this monkey off our back and go to Chicago.
Ryan Blaney won this race last year, had a shot to get another one, Rick, but he ends up 10th after a fuel pickup issue.
7 races remain in the 2013 season, and the points battle is heating up.
Finally, somebody makes a little bit of a dent in the point lead that Matt Crafton has enjoyed for the last number of races. James Busher gains 10, came in 47 behind, now only 37 behind.
That point lead's been right around 50, and now it's getting on down there where Matt Crafton is going to have to start looking over that shoulder to see what's coming. And it looks like James Busher has put himself into a position to race for this championship.
Matt Crafton's consistency has been unequaled. He is finishing the top 10 in every race to start the 2013 season, and once again did it today in Iowa, where he came home in 7th, but it wasn't without a lot of work going into it.
I sure do love a good truck race on a Sunday afternoon, Rick. These boys get after it. We saw great action and a great finish.
Short track racing at its finest right here at Iowa Speedway. Congratulations to James Busher, your winner at Iowa.